You're welcome to this news hour on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Badler Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, the 5-year-long worsening Anglophone crisis hitting the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon takes a deadly twist on religious institutions. A Christian is gunned down and a pastor injured during a church service that turned bloody, deadly at the Tanfuang Presbyterian Church in Balinyonga subdivision, Mezam division, northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. And in the far north region, another region hit by security tensions. We're going to show you in this newscast the deplorable phase of underdevelopment challenges hitting that part of the country. And out of Cameroon, Chad decides to withdraw half of its 1,200 troops battling militants in the tri-border area of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. Those were our top stories. A bloody day, a deadly church service in Presbyterian Church, Tanfuang, Mezam Division, Northwest Region of the Republic of Cameroon. Balinyonga is one of the areas that has suffered severe and deadly atrocities within the context of the 5-year-long armed conflict in the Northwest and Southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. And in the last of such incidents, a Christian was gunned down and a pastor injured. Details in this report.
An atmosphere of chaos overwhelmed the Presbyterian Church of Tanfang in Bali, in the northwest region, in the early hours of Sunday, 22nd August 2021. A lady by the name of Grace was shot dead during the sermon. About the same time, Reverend Monto Simon, who is a Presbyterian church pastor, was seen bleeding after being hit by a bullet. Separatist fighters and the military are said to be at the origin of this tragedy due to a gun battle exchange between both parties. The pastor was immediately transported on a stretcher by locals to the Bali District Hospital for medical attention. The same exercise was being conducted on the lady who lost her life during the sermon, who was being transported to the mortuary. It is not clear which party shot both victims, but political figures such as Barrister Akere Muna have condemned this act vehemently. He reacted on his Twitter handler, saying his heart was distraught by such sacrilegious actions by the perpetrators and that his heartfelt condolences are with the victim's family and the people of Bali. The Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, the PCC, also reacted and calls for peace and unity amongst Cameroonians. The president of the Northwest House of Chiefs, Fonyakum Kevin Tevi, in a communique says, this attack on the Presbyterian Church in Balinyonga is one more attack too much for an already grieving population. At the moment, calm is yet to return to Balinyonga following the bloody scene, as locals are still grieving and are yet to come to terms with constant gun battles and bloodshed in Balinyonga.
And some Christians of Presbyterian Church, Tanfuang in Balinyonga subdivision, told us that armed men believed to be soldiers stormed the church and opened fire on that religious institution. And elsewhere, still in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, armed men suspected to be separatist fighters stormed the Oku market in the northwest region of Kans earlier today, burning several shops, and vehicles were burnt, stores and other properties vandalized. Sources hint that arson attacks were also carried out on the residence of the mayor of the municipality and the council building. Gunshots were also fired for several hours, leaving inhabitants of Elak Oku in the Bui division in panic. And we stay in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon to talk about a man called Azungwi Henry, popularly known as Ajongo, who was kidnapped on Thursday, August 12, 2021. And news reached his family today that he is dead. And of course, as I said earlier, he was abducted on the 12th of August 2021 at about 8 a.m. in Quen, Bamenda 3 subdivision, and the armed men accused him of selling brasserie products, that is the brasseries to Cameroon Brewery Company products they had banned, and he was abducted, and news reached his family earlier today that he is no more. Now, with several roads blocked in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, the National Gendarmerie has embarked on an operation to clean and secure alternative roads driving from Bamenda to Dongamantum division. The regional gendarmerie boss for the northwest region moved through the west region on deplorable roads. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
The daily realities of locals in a region hit by a vexing underdevelopment and paralyzed by an armed conflict. We are on the lone passable stretch that today links a greater part of the northwest region of Cameroon to the rest of the country. Given the over 3 years sustained blockage on the traditional ring road and the need to clear off alternative passages, the Northwest Regional Gendarmerie boss on a visit to the Dongamantung division had a taste of the pains of the local population.
As you know, we moved from Bamenda through the west province, the west region, and then we came through Bonsor, we came through Ntaba and Sop, we went to Tumbo, we went to Ndu, and we went to Nkambe, we went to Misaje, and we passed through Ngarum and so on, and we visited all our guys on the road.
Driving from one part of a region to another through a different region, Colonel Bumbisau Rene and his guys had their first stopover at Ngarbu, known for its 14th February 2020 massacre. At the Gendarmerie Company in Kambi, the colonel was called by the senior divisional officer for the Dongamantung, Dr. Doi Simon Quenti, on the administrative and security approach that works in that part of the northwest region.
There are a population who will want to follow an administration that is accommodating their own aspirations.
According to the colonel, the operation permitted him to judge the morals of some of his collaborators.
We met some guys, our guys with very high morale, and they are ready at any moment to be engaged.
Added to some isolated security challenges, the people say the alternative stretch is in an extremely deplorable state. Faced with barren calls to public stakeholders, some locals have taken up matters into their hands, like the case here in Ndu Town, Ndu Subdivision.
And the security challenges in the northwest, southwest, and northern regions of the Republic of Cameroon will be on the discussion table tomorrow in the Nigerian capital, Abuja. Top Cameroonian and Nigerian authorities meet in the Trans-Border Security Committee meeting, and Cameroon's delegation is led by Territorial Administration Minister Paul Atanganji, who is going along, or who is already there in Abuja, along with Felix Mbayu, Minister Delegate to the Minister of External Relations in charge of relations with the Commonwealth, Galax Etoga, Secretary of State for Defense in charge of the National Gendarmerie, and governors of 5 regions affected by the security crisis, notably regions that are sharing borders with neighboring Nigeria. And as I said earlier, during the meeting, the committee will discuss security problems along the Cameroon-Nigeria border and the Lake Chad Basin, maritime security challenges, and cessationist threat in both countries. Now to the far north region of the Republic of Cameroon. It is one of the regions sharing borders with neighboring Nigeria and suffering security challenges. But in the report coming up next, we're going to show you the ugly face of underdevelopment, which has become deadly in that part of the country. Details with Innocent.
This is what the population of Minjif in the far north region go through on a daily basis when going to the central town, Marwa. Since collapse of the Majoma Bridge linking Minjif and Marwa 5 years ago, life has been difficult and mobility now an adventure. Many die in the course of crossing this river, especially when it rains heavily. Every year we register at least 2 or 3 deaths. A man was saved from being carried away by the river. Unfortunately, vital documents he carried got wet and some transported by the running water. We can't even transport our goods to the other side. This is terrible. We have been cut off completely from Marwa. We have been abandoned to ourselves as if we are not Cameroonians. They would not have been here provided the project to rehabilitate the collapsed bridge was not abandoned. If they had continued the well-started project, this suffering wouldn't have been faced and endured by the locals. Cameroon's Minister of Public Works is expected to have the suffering population of Minjif at heart and ensure the resumed project accelerates till completion with quality materials used. Also that only qualified engineers be allowed to execute the project.
There was joy, celebration, but also sadness and tears at the weekend after the publication of results of the General Certificate of Education Ordinary and Advanced levels. And among those celebrating success in Douala was Manji for Princess. She dropped out of school and stayed out of school for 11 years and came back to write the GC ordinary level, and she made it. Details with Immaculate Fogwe.
Students celebrating success from the publication of the GC Ordinary and Advanced Level Examination. We are in one of the school campuses in Mabanda, Douala 4 Subdivision. Some of the successful candidates were forced to flee from the conflict-hit Northwest region to seek refuge here in the economic capital, Douala.
I'm called Echudanye Tavenyang. I registered 5 papers advanced level and had all the 5 papers. Before coming to Douala, I was one of the victims of the Anglophone crisis, and it was due to some certain reasons which I cannot really explain that made me to find myself in Douala and more.
My name is Chef Fix. I'm from the Northwest region at Balinyonga. So I left the village due to the crisis and I came and settled in Douala. I give more thanks to my mother standing beside me for encouraging me. I'm in Form 4 and I decided to write the GC in Form 4 and I registered 11 papers and I had all the 11 papers.
After dropping out of school for over 11 years, this internally displaced woman is extremely happy seeing her name on the list.
Even my mother, she wanted to encourage me. She came back to school to join me. So she registered 8 papers and had all the 8 papers.
An administrative head praises the efforts made by students and the staff of his institution.
It has been a great improvement from last year's result because due to COVID-19, last year's result were 80%, but this year we have gone up to 94% in the GC advanced level, and while we have moved up to 85.6% in the GC ordinary level. It's great. They have been devoted, they have given their best.
While successful students were celebrating, other students were rather disappointed after being unable to see their names on the list.
And a university don laments over the point that private education institutions in the Republic of Cameroon have been abandoned by the government, and he says this is not good for the growth and development of the country. According to Professor Julius Ngo, for Cameroon to become an emerging nation by 2035, the country or the government must give equal opportunities to both private and public institutions. He spoke to a Southwest correspondent, Derek Jato, who compiled this report.
With the 2021 GCE result already published and the statistics now in the hands of the concerned, and the countdown to the 2021-2022 academic year drawing closer, an academic dawn in Buea is drawing the attention of the Cameroon government on how to better shape higher education in the country.
Without adequate education, the government policy cannot be fully implemented.
Professor Julius Vitongo says a country like Cameroon, dreaming to emerge by 2035, must learn how to carry every sector along. For instance, it is the responsibility of the Cameroon government to directly assist private learning institutions.
At times I feel very bad. The government has more or less washed its hands off private higher institutions. Even when the government talks of academic excellence and provides money to students in state universities, the students in private higher institutions are left out.
And as the president of the Catholic University Institute of Buea, CUIB, a higher learning institution being mentored by the University of Buea, Professor Julius Vitongo, while chairing a synod meeting of his institution, also revealed that all have been put in place for the new academic year.
In news out of Cameroon, a spokesperson of Chadian authorities has said the country has decided to recall half of its 1,200 troops battling militants in the tri-border area of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. Chad deployed the soldiers in February to support a France-backed regional fight with insurgents linked to the Al-Qaeda and Islamic State militant movements. And speaking on behalf of the Transitional Military Council in Chad, General Azem Bemandoua Aguna said the decision to withdraw 600 of these soldiers was made in agreement with Chad Sahel allies. Without giving further details, General Aguna added that the recalled Chadian troops will be redeployed elsewhere, and Chadian authorities have faced a separate conflict this year with insurgents in the north of the country. France has also said it plans to reduce its presence in the Sahel to around half of the 5,100 soldiers there. The head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon, Antonio Oliveira Conceição, has published his list of 28 players who will be taking part in the Indomitable Lions' next two matches. That will be next month. And speaking to reporters at the Olembe Stadium in Yaoundé, the head coach of the Indomitable Lions said players are called up based on merit. Smanjikan Gabriel has more.
Fabrice Ondua is the greatest absentee on the list of 28 players selected by Antonio Conceição Oliveira for the upcoming encounters counting for the qualifiers of FIFA World Cup, even though he helped the Indomitable Lions win the African Nations Cup in 2017 when Gabon hosted. His lack of playing time and still without a club makes matters difficult. Fabrice Ondua's last outing was in a 3-1 loss to Cape Verde. The head coach says he selects players on merit.
Comme depuis le début de mon arrivée, pour moi les critères c'est toujours la méritocratie.
Since I arrived in Cameroon, I have selected players on merit. I look at their performance in their different clubs and the impact they can bring to the team.
Au niveau sur le plan technique comme sur le caractère pour représenter les Lions indomptables. Donc c'est la méritocratie, c'est ma méritocratie.
Antonio Conceição Oliveira has put his trust on a local goalkeeper, Len Narcisse Jr. of Coton Sport of Garoua. Another player not called up is Serge Tabeko, whose team was relegated to Division 2 in the Belgium League, while Nje Clinton, who is having a bright start of the season with his club Dynamo Moscow, was also sidelined by Antonio Conceição Oliveira. Amongst the 28 selected is former Cotton Sport player Lambert Guemo Ariena, who now plays for FAR Rabat of Morocco. The former Cotton Sport player Lambert Guema Ariena helped his team to the semi-finals of the CAF Confederations Cup this year. Cameroon takes on Malawi on September 3, and later in the month of September they will challenge the Elephants of Ivory Coast. The matches will be counting for the first leg eliminatories of the FIFA World Cup that will be hosted by Qatar.
Smanji Kangebre ending this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you for staying with us. Equinoxe comes up next.